Have you ever woken up and wondered if you were living someone else's life? For a guy named Arch, that's exactly what happened. He wakes up one morning, not in his beat-up car, but in the plush leather seat of a brand new Tesla. Confused, he hits the home button on the gent screen. The car silently pulls out and drives itself to a breathtaking mansion. As he steps out, a man in a crisp suit greets him. "Sir, I'm Jeff, your assistant." Arch is floored. "Whose house is this?" He stammers. "It's yours, sir. Is everything okay?" Still in disbelief, Arch rushes inside. The walls are covered with photos of him, but they're from a life he never lived. Suddenly, a figure appears. It's Gabriel, an angel. "I swapped your life with Jeff's," he explains. It turns out, Arch was the real assistant, and Jeff was the real owner. Gabriel wanted to teach Arch a lesson. The grass isn't always greener. He was sure Arch would beg for his old life back within a week. But Arch, he was having the time of his life. He was relaxing, eating gourmet food, and living a dream he never thought possible. So what was Arch's real life like? He had a degree in documentary filmmaking, but was stuck doing gig work on an app called Task Sergeant to make ends meet. One day, he waited in line for 2 hours to buy special buns for a customer, only for the shop to sell out right before his turn. The customer canceled, and Arch earned nothing for his time. Gabriel watched this unfold from a distance. Later that night, while working his second job, Arch met a girl named Elena. She was trying to organize a workers' union. "Are you happy with your job?" she asked him. "Nothing's going to change," he replied, exhausted. "Don't waste my time." But they met again at a taco stand, sharing a few laughs and a moment of connection amidst their chaotic lives. Gabriel saw this too. After his shift, Arch didn't go home to an apartment. He climbed into the back seat of his car to sleep because he couldn't even afford a cheap motel. His dad called, and Arch had to lie, pretending he just got a nice new place. As he tried to sleep, a podcast he was listening to asked for $6 to remove ads. He couldn't even afford that. Watching all this, Gabriel's heart ached for him. Meanwhile, in the celestial realm, Gabriel attended an angel meeting. He learned about another angel, Ezrael, whose job was to help broken people find hope and purpose again. Inspired, Gabriel decided he wanted to do something that meaningful. He told his manager, "Martha, I want to save a troubled soul." Martha was hesitant. "It's not that simple, Gabriel. You have to find someone who is truly lost." Gabriel insisted he'd already found his person, Arch, but Martha had a different, urgent assignment for him. "Your job is to stop Elena from getting into an accident." It's critical. Gabriel, however, was so fixated on Arch's struggles that he missed his cue. Elena got into the accident. Thankfully, she wasn't badly hurt, but it meant she had to cancel her upcoming date with Arch. Back in his own timeline, Arch was still hustling, running on fumes. He got a gig cleaning the garage of a wealthy influencer. The owner was Jeff, the same man whose life he was living in the alternate reality. Jeff's life was a routine of cold plunges and saunas. Arch cleaned the garage immaculately. Impressed, Jeff said, "Great work. I'll give you 5 stars." Seeing his chance, Arch asked, "Do you need an assistant?" Jeff agreed to a 1-week trial. Arch excelled. He managed schedules, planned events, and arranged meals flawlessly. He watched Jeff drop $500 on a watch like it was pocket change. Jeff was so impressed, he gave Arch the company credit card for work expenses. For the first time, Arch felt a glimmer of hope. He even treated himself to a hotel room instead of sleeping in his car. The next day was his rescheduled date with Elena. Jeff, trying to be helpful, gave him a nice shirt and recommended a restaurant. "Not too expensive, pretty good," he said. But when Arch and Elena looked at the menu, their faces fell. Even the cheapest dish was more than they could afford. They ordered the bare minimum, but the bill was still staggering. With no money of his own, Arch reluctantly used Jeff's company card. The next morning, Jeff confronted him. "You used my card for a personal dinner." Arch tried to explain. I was going to tell you. The place you suggested was too expensive, and I didn't want to be embarrassed. I'll pay you back. But for Jeff, the trust was broken. I can't trust you, he said, and fired Arch on the spot. Just like that, Arch was back at square one. He had lost the best job he'd ever had, and the gig app wasn't sending him any tasks. Desperate for cash, he donated blood, which left him weak and dizzy. He fell asleep in a convenience store later that day, only to be woken up and kicked out by the security guard at closing time. As he stumbled outside, his heart sank. He saw his car, his only home, being towed away. That was his breaking point. He completely broke down, crying on the sidewalk. This was the moment Gabriel had been watching for. He realized Arch truly was a lost soul. He appeared before him, his angelic wings unfurling. I am an angel, he said gently. I know everything you've been through. Don't worry. Things are going to get better. Then, Gabriel showed Arch a vision of his future. He saw himself working for a food delivery company. Under so much pressure he had to use a bottle in his truck because he had no time for bathroom breaks. He saw himself and Elena moving into her mom's already crowded house, 5 people crammed into a tiny space. Life didn't look like it was getting better at all. Arch thought the angel was here to lift his spirits, but Gabriel's vision of his future just made him feel worse. Gabriel tried to explain. Look, you won't stay here long. You'll get a job. You and Elena will move, but you'll still have very little money. Your dog will get sick, and you won't be able to afford his treatment. But you'll be happy. Arch was disgusted. There's no way I'm living such a useless life, he said, hating the future he was shown. Gabriel pleaded. I'm not even allowed to do this. Look at my wings. They're tiny. I'm a low-level angel, but I genuinely want to help you. I want to show you your life is valuable. But Arch shot back. You just depressed me more. Jeff's life is the one worth living. People like us are born to serve people like him, to prove him wrong and show that Jeff's life wasn't perfect either. Gabriel swapped their lives. And that brings us back to where the story began. Arch was living it up as a rich man. Suddenly, Jeff appeared, now working as his assistant, and said, Sir, get ready for the meeting. Gabriel thought, good, now he'll see what real responsibility feels like. But the meeting was a breeze. They just chatted casually, and the company even paid for dinner. Later, Arch got home to find a man fixing the pool heater. The repairman said it would cost $35,000 to replace. Gabriel smirked, seeing huge expenses, tough being rich, right? But Arch just shrugged. I have so much money. Who cares? And told the man to replace the whole thing. Next, he went back to the workplace where he and Elena used to be colleagues. Of course, Elena didn't remember him. So, Arch introduced himself all over again. He took her to the same restaurant for a date, and this time, he ordered that expensive dish he'd skipped before. The restaurant staff even treated them like royalty, saying, Sir, your meal is on the house. After the date, they shared a kiss. A week flew by, and Gabriel returned. Your week is up. Ready to go back? He asked, assuming Arch was missing his old life. But Arch laughed. Why would I go back? This life is amazing. Gabriel was stuck. He couldn't send Arch back without his consent. And Arch had zero intention of leaving. Because of this mess, Gabriel's boss, Martha, was furious. She scolded him. What have you done? You had one simple job. Guide people. Prevent accidents. Instead, you caused chaos. Elena's accident, her postponed date, Arch losing his job, it's all your fault. As punishment, she took Gabriel's wings away until he could fix everything. The scene shifts to a lavish party at Arch's new mansion. Gabriel appeared, now visible to everyone. He cornered Arch. Don't you think this is unfair to Jeff? When Arch brushed him off, Gabriel restored Jeff's memories. The shock of seeing himself working as a servant in his own house made Jeff faint. When he woke up and they explained everything, he begged Arch, Give me my life back. Let's make a deal. If you go back now, I'll give you $1 million. Arch scoffed. One of your watches costs more than that. You're disgusting. Gabriel intervened. No bribing. That's against the rules. Jeff then pleaded. Look, I didn't know you were homeless. I wouldn't have fired you. But for one mistake. Are you going to take my entire life? Gabriel also tried to convince Arch. Finally, Arch agreed, but with a condition. Give me a few more days. Let me enjoy this life a little longer, then I'll go back to my miserable existence. Jeff reluctantly agreed. Then, Arch challenged him. Let's see if you can survive a few days as a poor man. Jeff arrogantly replied, If I were you, I'd be rich in no time. As they left, Gabriel stopped Jeff, saying he also needed a place to stay. They ended up sharing a cheap hotel bed. Early the next morning, the staff demanded they pay or check out. Jeff managed to talk his way into paying that night. He started working on Task Sergeant, just like Arch did. He didn't even know how to drive Arch's old clunker without a 360 camera and immediately crashed it while reversing. Gabriel tried to help, but Jeff quickly learned how brutally hard life was for the poor. Robots were replacing workers, and angry customers yelled at him over tiny issues. By the end of the day, Jeff found out he wouldn't get paid for a week. He did the math and realized he'd spent more on gas than he earned. They had actually lost money. That meant sleeping in the car. Meanwhile, Arch was enjoying life with Elena. One night, he impulsively suggested they fly to Paris for the weekend. But Elena refused. She had an important union meeting. Arch insisted she postpone it, desperate for one last taste of luxury. Elena was offended. You stay in your mansion. I'm happy with my simple life, she said, and walked away. Upset, Arch drove off, frantically texting her to reply. Distracted, he crashed his car. Later, Gabriel informed Jeff that Arch was in a coma. Jeff freaked out. Your job is to stop people from texting and driving. Why didn't you save him? Gabriel replied helplessly. How could I? I was with you. Because he'd failed to prevent the accident, Gabriel was fired from his angel job and became fully human. He was hungry, so Jeff taught him how to eat a burger, and Gabriel experienced the joy of food for the first time. Jeff looked online and found that coma patients usually wake up in about 2 weeks. The next day, he tried going to his old office, thinking his genius would impress everyone. Instead, they thought he was a hacker and threw him out. The hospital refused to give him any information about Arch, citing privacy rules. Gabriel, now human, got obsessed with the internet, showing Jeff cute animal videos. Jeff snapped, You need a job. I can't pay for both of us. So, Gabriel started washing dishes at a restaurant. But when he got his first paycheck, he was shocked by how much was taken out for taxes. His coworker told him he'd need another job. He himself worked 3. Gabriel was finally experiencing true human struggle. Then, Arch woke up from the coma. He had an idea. He asked the nurse if people sometimes lose their memory after a coma, and she said yes. So, Arch decided to fake amnesia. Meanwhile, Jeff got a food delivery order to his own mansion. He realized Arch must be awake. He stormed into the mansion, but Arch pretended not to know him. Who are you? Sir, I don't remember anything. Jeff was furious, but couldn't tell if he was lying. Frustrated, he told Gabriel everything. Get me God. I'll fight him. I want answers, he yelled. But Gabriel, now a chain smoker with no powers, was useless. Are you just going to wash dishes and smoke? Or do you want your angel life back? Jeff shouted. That sparked an idea for Gabriel. Everything went wrong when he failed to save Elena from her accident. If he could get her life back on track, maybe Arch would return to his own. He went to support Elena at her union meeting. She gave a passionate speech, but they lost the vote by a huge margin. Gabriel was heartbroken. To make matters worse, Jeff lost his food delivery job to robots. He was at his wits' end. How do people live like this? I just vacationed and attended a few meetings. Just then, cops arrived and seized Arch's old car for unpaid parking tickets, with fees piling up daily. Jeff finally understood the impossible struggles of the poor. Gabriel said softly, "This is what Arch went through." Hopeless, Jeff suddenly remembered his expensive watches locked in his mansion safe. He knew the password. When they got to the house, Arch was throwing a massive party for Jeff's 40th birthday. Jeff was livid. Arch was even copying his signature dance moves. Gabriel felt stealing was wrong, but Jeff argued, "It's my stuff." "How is it stealing?" He sneaked into the house. Gabriel, meanwhile, accidentally ate a weed-laced chocolate and got completely high, telling his whole angel story to a random girl. Coincidentally, Elena was working at the party as a waitress. After the party, Arch asked her to stay. They danced, and Elena confessed, "You were right, the union was a waste. I can't fight the system alone. Let's go to Paris." But Arch surprised her. "No, don't say that. Don't give up. As long as people like you exist, the world can change." After their talk, Arch went to sleep. Jeff finally reached the safe and grabbed the watches. But suddenly, Arch appeared with a gun and fired several shots, one of the bullets. But that's a story for part 2. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more. The bullet slammed into Jeff's shoulder, and he screamed in pain and shock. "Are you insane? Why did you shoot me?" Arch just looked at him, his face grim. "Remember when I was your assistant? You're the one who told me, if anyone ever breaks into the house, shoot first and ask questions later." In that instant, everything clicked for Jeff. The fog of confusion lifted. "So, you remember everything. You were never suffering from memory loss." Just then, Gabriel, hearing the commotion, rushed into the room. Seeing the situation, they quickly bundled Jeff into a car and sped off to the hospital. Later, with his arm in a sling, Jeff confronted Arch. Why lie to me about everything?" Arch's reply was blunt. "Look at my life. It's terrible. There's nothing fun in it. Your life is filled with luxury. But whatever. I'm ready. I'll switch back." But Gabriel stepped in, his expression serious. "If you truly wanted to change your life, you would have done it by now. Right now, you're just feeling sorry for Jeff. Until you genuinely believe that your own life is worth living, you can't go back." Jeff, exasperated, threw his good arm up. Who in their right mind would want to go back to that life? "I lived it for 4 days. It's awful. No one would want that." A strange calm came over Arch. "Fine," he said, looking at both of them. "Let's go to my place, I mean, your house. We'll just chill together, like brothers." And so, the three of them, a wounded billionaire, a disillusioned everyman, and a struggling angel, found themselves relaxing in the opulent mansion, trying to enjoy life together. Just as they were starting to settle into this bizarre new dynamic, a woman named Martha appeared out of nowhere, looking for Gabriel. She was clearly not pleased. "I gave you one simple job," she said, her voice sharp. "Stop people from texting while driving. That's it. But instead, you get yourself stuck here, washing dishes, smoking cigarettes." "I've been watching everything." Gabriel looked down, ashamed. "It's very hard. How do I show Arch that his own life has hope?" Martha's expression softened just a little. "Sometimes," she said softly, "a lost soul doesn't need an angel. All they need is a human." That evening, the trio decided to go out for tacos. As fate would have it, Elena was there. She was back at it, trying to organize the union for the workers. She told them she had to keep trying, that she knew she wouldn't win immediately, but giving up wasn't an option. Her determination was palpable. From there, they went to a club to dance. For a while, it seemed like a good idea. Gabriel was dancing joyfully, lost in the music, but then his mood shifted. The happiness drained from his face, and he walked away from the dance floor, finding a quiet corner. Arch noticed and followed him. "What happened? Why are you so sad all of a sudden?" Gabriel looked up, his eyes filled with despair. "I'm a useless angel. I've ruined everything. I'm a chain smoker, not a celestial being. Do you understand? But Arch shook his head. No, you came here to show me that my life is worth living. You can't give up on yourself. Gabriel let out a bitter laugh. Yes, I came to show you that ... But instead of living your real life, you've chosen to hide away in this giant mansion. Arch's defensiveness finally broke. I don't want all this, he admitted, his voice cracking. I just want a normal, decent life. If I go back to my old life, will I even have my job, my car, anything? It scares me. Gabriel looked at him with newfound empathy. When I became human, I was terrified too. Nothing went right. I had to wash dishes, sleep in a car, do so many things I never imagined. But good things happened too. I discovered I like dancing. I found a friend in Jeff, and I really like you as well. Hearing this, something shifted in Arch. You're a great angel, he said sincerely. And I'll always want you to be my angel. Elena's words echoed in his mind, then the idea that you don't win immediately, but you have to keep trying. In that moment, he made his choice. And just like that, he was back in his own life. The mansion, the luxury gone. He was standing on a street corner, and the first thing he saw was a notice that his car had been towed. On the other side of the city, Jeff woke up in his lavish bedroom. He felt different. As he got dressed, he found a piece of paper on his nightstand: Arch's parking ticket. A small, human problem left behind in his perfect world. When Arch went to the impound lot to get his car, he was surprised to learn that the ticket had already been paid. Jeff had taken care of it. Feeling overwhelmed, Arch called his father. Dad, nothing is going right. His father's voice was a comfort. It's okay, son, problems come, but I know you. You'll fix everything. Hearing that, a little bit of the weight lifted from Arch's shoulders. Meanwhile, Jeff was already making waves at his company. He called an emergency board meeting. Remove all of the delivery robots, he announced. We're going back to human couriers. And they'll be paid more. The board members were outraged. But Jeff stood firm. I control this company. I have the most shares. What I say is final. Arch found himself back at his old food delivery job, the one where he barely had a moment to even use the restroom. But this time, he wasn't alone in his frustration. One by one, the other couriers quit, fed up with the conditions. Inspired, Arch started looking for documentary editing jobs again, sending out his resume, following his passion. Slowly, his life began to improve, and though his world had changed, some things stayed the same. Whenever he sat down to eat, no matter how little he had, he always saved a portion. A small plate, set aside for an angel named Gabriel. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next one.